$50,000 in my business credit, which was actually the biggest amount of credit I've ever received. Tell me what you do that, for example, companies like Prime Corporate
Sequences
Services,
and Elena, you say, hey, I need X amount of dollars for my business. We strategically plan, okay, this is where we're going to go to get this amount of money. This is where we're going to go for this. This is where we're going to go for this. We're not one of those companies, and going back to what we do different, we're not one of those companies that
call them between
shotguns
these
your credit to
hours,
see.
then say that this is your application numbers, and then say that you want to apply for business platinum.
There are companies, and no disrespect to those companies, but you don't want to have a company do 20 business credit cards with $5,000 limits.
My problem is paralysis analysis. Paralysis analysis means, whom do I call? I have 5 companies to call. After our first interview, I held this beautiful card in my hands after I was not able to take action for
being
several
open
months.
and honest about the entire process, from communication, what it looks like speaking to different banks on the phone, what you can expect for how much funding you're looking for.
So when I started my journey with PCS, this is what information that I received. First, you need to establish the credit lines with the Uline and other ones. The thing that I could not understand is how to avoid dropping your credit score, because when I started to read about people,
it just comes down to, not knowing the right sequence, right? Not knowing what your approvals are. So we get, I've seen Elena get approved for 50K, right? So somebody watching this
with
video
Chase, right? With Chase.
Right?
Let me go apply for Chase. So I had an announcement that I made earlier on my Facebook today, and I intrigued the heck out of everybody by holding up a mystery envelope that arrived at my door and showing the what the cat dragged in today. And the cat dragged in no less, no more than $50,000 in my business credit, which was actually the biggest amount of credit I've ever received in my life. Now, let me ask you, Stephen. So I found you because I struggled for multiple months with a credit building program that was provided as part of Pace Morby's Gator training. And he involves a company called Prime Corporate Services to train us how to obtain business credit. I'm a very diligent student. I'm like an A+ type of a student. So I took all of the information that Prime Corporate Service provided, and then I started to research YouTube videos on how not to make missteps during application. And lo and behold, after 2 or 3 weeks of nothing but research, I actually stopped because I got overwhelmed by the information. So finding you was actually a resolution to my problem. Like 5 days after our first interview, I held this beautiful card in my hands after I was not able to take action for several months. So tell me what you do that, for example, companies like Prime Corporate Services do not.
For anybody that's watching, my name is Stephen. I'm the owner of FAAS Experts. I have a small team here where we help individuals, especially startup companies or even primarily real estate investors, obtain, business capital, business funding to, for acquisitions, double closings, private money deals, et cetera. So I would say what we do different, I think is, for me, based on experience. So I've been in the business credit space since 2019 when I opened the doors to my credit repair company. And then I transitioned over to strictly doing business credit and business funding because I learned by doing it myself first. So I did what a lot of you might be watching doing. That's going to be the net 30, net 60, net 90 accounts, like going to Uline, Quill, Granger, et cetera. And that's going to build your business credit score. So you're going to get a Paydex score. You're going to get an Intelli score. You're going to get your Equifax business and whatnot. You're going to, because that's done in Bradstreet and so on and so forth. However, building your corporate credit, because that's what that is, and you strictly want to focus on just your EIN, that's not going to get you access to real cash, especially for a startup business. So the other reverse side of that is becoming a personal guarantor, leveraging your personal credit to obtain high levels or high limits on the business credit space, right? So this is going to get you high limit business credit cards, business lines of credit, et cetera. So the big thing that a lot of folks don't talk about online is the personal guarantor aspect. So you're leveraging your good personal credit. So 720 and above is recommended, and then that will open up the doors for you. So your initial question is, what do we do different? I would say open communication with myself and my team, really being open and honest about the entire process, from communication, what it looks like speaking to different banks on the phone, what you can expect for how much funding you're looking for, etc. So I think when it comes to like our onboarding process or when we talk to clients, we don't do anything. We don't do any phone calls. Everything is done via Zoom, even from the education of the credit report. There's going to be things that you're going to learn about your own personal credit that you may have not learned from anyone else.
Actually, you were the first one who made me pull my personal credit and
Oh,
actually made me look at it, because I will be honest, I assumed that my credit score is good enough and I didn't even bother to look into my credit.
Yep.
And one of the very few things that you did, you see, my credit score is very good, guys. And I always assumed if it's good, then don't touch it, don't mess with it. What he did in the very first meeting that we had is he made me take my name out of one of my husband's joint credit cards. And then he made me to pay down one of the credit cards that I forgot I even had. And I totally didn't even realize that I had a high balance on one of those cards. The fact that I was not even aware that I'm one joint credit card with my husband, and two, that I had a high balance was like weird.
Yep.
I was surprised by my own credit report.
Yep.
But what also impressed me, I wanted to pull up one of the communications that I have with the team, just to let you know how different it is. They send me instructions exactly on, I know it's blurred right now, but they send me instructions exactly. Hold on, let me see if I can unblur my camera for a second.
Okay.
Or, okay, blur my background. Okay, they send me instructions, say, you need to call this number, you need to say that you're applying for this credit card, you need to tell them exactly, like they give me step-by-step instruction that if I, for some reason, cannot follow, that's on me, that's not on anybody else.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
enjoy this very easy, like they give me the phone number, they say, call them between these hours, then say that this is your application numbers, and then say that you want to apply for business platinum, and give me like really instruction that I myself, you see, my problem is paralysis analysis. Paralysis analysis means, whom do I call? I have 5 companies to call.
Yep.
Before I call, I spend 3 hours thinking about what I'm going to say. And then I spend the next 2 hours trying to figure out which phone number to call them at. And then the day is gone and I decide to call them tomorrow. You know, I kick the can down the road.
Yep. Yeah. So we definitely like to keep it strategic. So, you know, and when we're doing our application sequences and, you know, Elena, you say, hey, I need X amount of dollars for my business. We strategically plan, okay, this is where we're going to go to get this amount of money. This is where we're going to go for this. This is where we're going to go for this. We're not one of those companies, and going back to what we do different, we're not one of those companies that shotguns your credit to see, you know, what your approvals are going to look like. There are companies, and no disrespect to those companies, but, you know, you don't want to have a company do 20 business credit cards with $5,000 limits, right? So now, yeah, you got 100K because you got 5K each, but now you have to manage 20 business credit cards, and that's a lot to manage. Some people can't even manage 3. So what we do is we like to get the highest approvals with the lowest amount of credit cards. And if we can get you to that 50, 100K mark, then great, right? Average person that comes to us, they say, hey, you know, can we get access to 50,000 for a deal? We can get you 50,000 on one business credit card. So that's only one thing that you have to manage. So I just, you know, obviously that's important. And when it goes to the instructions that you receive from the team, that just comes from experience, right? We don't have everything figured out. We try to, you know, dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's. There's some mistakes that we have made in the past, and even now that we still make. And one of the things that we do for our clients when we're offboarding or having a graduation call is, hey, how can we improve for the next person?
But also a question to you. When I asked you about starting my Uline credit and others, you actually told me no need, right? No need, which shocked me because I thought that was the path. The path was to get the Uline and to get all of this. So is that a misinformation that first you have to get those 7 to 10 and then apply for personal credit, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I would say this. I would say it's information. I don't think it's misleading, depending on who it's coming from. However, I would say if you have someone advertising, hey, get up to 250,000 with EIN only for a brand new startup business, even with bad credit, right? That's very misleading because when you're telling somebody 250K, they're not thinking about buying products. They're thinking about, okay, I can have $250,000 in cash in my hand. And
which is another problem, right? Which is, this is what stopped me, because my instructions were to go and start applying for Uline, for, you know, all of those small, what do you call them? The no personal guarantee.
Trade lines. Yeah, those are trade lines.
And then I was thinking, I'm spending so much time applying for stuff that I
Yep.
actually don't need.
Yep. You don't need, you end up buying stuff. And I wish I can show you, but I have a dry erase board right here, really, really big. I got that from Uline, right? So some of the stuff that I even have in my office came from 2019 when I purchased this home, when I got into building business credit. And I would say this, I did buy some things that weren't a part of the business. So in my home, I have a quick story to tell if you don't mind.
Okay, go ahead.
So this actually did save me. So Uline, I purchased 3 fire extinguishers. So in my house, I have a finished basement, my main level here, and I have upstairs. So I put a fire extinguisher in my kitchen, one upstairs and one downstairs. And I got that from Uline. I'm like, well, if I need something to build my business credit. So you have to spend a minimum amount in order to establish a commercial account with them. So anyway, I had those fire extinguishers for 5 years now. Literally for my son's graduation back in May, I think I think it was during his graduation week. I have like the Nest system in my house and whatnot. So my alarms were going off on my phone and it said that there was a fire. And it said, it points out exactly where the fire was at. So the fire was in my laundry room, which is on the 2nd level. And luckily the alarms were going off in the house and all of that good stuff. So I wasn't home, but my fiance was. So she grabbed the fire extinguisher and literally, oh yeah, my house would have burned down. I mean, it was literally a flame and everything. So all my clothes got charred and whatnot. But if I didn't buy those fire extinguishers, my house could have burned down.
Wouldn't you know how sometimes the guardian angel makes you do something 5 years ago that turns out to be the only thing that saves you today?
Yep.
Isn't that something?
Yep.
But anyhow, so that's a very interesting story. It reminds me that nothing happens with no reason.
That's
Even
right.
if you're buying the darn fire extinguisher just for the fact that you need to spend a certain amount of money. But so when I started my journey with PCS, this is what information that I received. First, you need to establish the credit lines with the Uline and other ones. Then the one thing that I could not understand is how to avoid dropping your credit score, because when I started to read about people trying to apply for all of those beautiful things, they say, I ruined my credit score. Basically, multiple inquiries to the credit score started to lead to denials. And then it ended up being a worse situation than he started with. And this is what I froze, because the only thing that I have going for me is my good credit score. So tell me the mistake that people typically do when they try to follow do-it-yourself type of advice.
Yeah, so it's a couple of things, right? So I think it's more so sometimes it's the fear. So if you're learning, hey, apply for a Chase business card or Bank of America, it's that fear of, I just started this business yesterday. What am I putting for projected income or stated income, right? Because every bank is different based on the numbers that they're requiring. I would say that's the first part. And then the second part, it just comes down to, not knowing the right sequence, right? Not knowing what your approvals are. So we get, I've seen Elena get approved for 50K, right? So somebody watching this video.
With Chase, right? With Chase.
Right?
Let me go apply for Chase, right?
Right. So they're like, oh, if Elena can go work with Stephen and his team and go get 50K, I can walk into the bank right now and do the same thing. And the reality is you can't, right? So I would say some of the major mistakes in regards to somebody's credit score dropping is there are business credit cards that you can apply for, get approved, that will also go on your personal credit, right? So for example,
which was what another thing that terrified me. I wanted to make sure that I researched the heck out of every card, because I did not want any more credit on my personal credit. So analysis paralysis 3x.
Yep. So Capital One is one of them. So Capital One Spark Card. We actually just had a recent Gator client. She applied for that before she started working with us. And we're saving her right now because she got that card. She's doing some lending. She maxed out that card. She just got it, I think, on July 9th. And this is 2024, if anybody's watching.
And it's already filled out.
Yep. So she maxed it out. She got 15K. She maxed it out. Of course, it's not on, she got the inquiry, but it's not on her credit. And because we did that credit audit in our initial call, we were like, hey, listen, we just want to let you know, we know that you have the Spark card because we can see the inquiry. So we said, hey, what is this Capital One inquiry? Said, oh, I got the Spark card. I said, okay, are you aware that that card reports to your personal credit? She was like, no, it doesn't. I said, you can't see it yet because you just got the card, but come next month, it's going to show up on your personal credit. So anyway, we're saving her. We paid off the 15K literally as of, I think, yesterday or today.
So you got her another card?
Yeah.
To pay off that card?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we're paying that off. So that way, when that account does report to her personal credit next month, it's going to show a zero balance versus a maxed out 15K, which is also going to drop their credit score. So yes, so if you're doing this on your own and you're doing, so there's such thing as personal funding too. So Elena, well, your credit profile, you could have went out here and we could have easily got you 150,000 in brand new personal credit. And so sometimes these other companies are doing that. They're going and getting you personal funding, and the high limits are great, right? A lot of 0% cards, a lot of the personal credit cards have a longer 0% duration. Or sometimes it goes up to like 24 months or 21 months. However, it's just like anything else on your personal credit revolving. Once you use that card and that utilization goes up, your score is coming back down, right? So it's little small intricacies like that that some people are unaware of. And I get a lot of folks that say, "Hey, man, I don't want to pay you guys. I can go do it myself." And I say, "Okay, great." And then some of those people come back. So
You see, I actually was talking about it on my Facebook. So somebody said, why should I pay? Well, to me, there is no question, right? I'm a realtor. Some people say, why should I pay a realtor to help me to buy a piece of investment property? I'm like, there is a question that you're always going to pay me. Either you're going to pay me now or you're going to
later.
pay later on when you realize what you got yourself into. But to me, it's never a question, but I actually wanted to touch upon it. So their argument was, why should I give somebody a percentage of my credit card and I have less amount of money to invest with that card? I'm like, well, to be honest, I don't know about other people. With the analysis paralysis little chicken little that I am, chances of me ever getting my hands on $50,000 all on my own are minuscule. So what does it matter how much the experts cost if without them I get zero? Right. So to me, even if I get a half of my credit line, that's a half more than I can potentially get on my own.
Yep.
And how I utilize that to get my objectives met is a completely different story.
Yep.
But nevertheless, but now let's touch upon a very important question, because when we started to work, I have four LLCs right now.
Okay.
And one of those LLCs been around since 2020, since 2010, and other ones were open this year. So tell me a little bit more about the difference between the LLC that's kind of a little seasoned and have some history behind them and new ones.
Yeah. So, so banks, when they're looking at an entity, they're looking at, is it brand new or is it over a certain age? So unbeknownst to a lot of people, so those that are watching right now, the age of a business plays a big part of how much you can get approved for funding. Also, depending on the age, it can open up the doors for other business funding related products like business lines of credit, term loans, SBA loans, etc. And the reason why that's important is because banks look at it like this. If you're a startup company, you're unproven. So are there products available for startup companies? Absolutely, right? Business credit cards, et cetera. But you're very limited to what you can get. And that's why you're most definitely going to be a personal guarantor. Once your business hits statistically 2 years, I like to say 3 years old, the banks don't look at you as risky as much because you've passed the quote unquote dreaded 2-year mark and you didn't dissolve your company and you didn't close the door. So you're still active according to the Secretary of State. Oh, well, you must be making some money, some way, form, or fashion, right? So when you hit that 2.5 to 3 year mark, ideally 2 years, the banks are willing to give you a little bit more. And when I'm gonna be honest with you, we're talking about just the age. We call it TIB, which is time in business, but we're specifically talking about just the age. So you can literally set up a company today, do absolutely nothing with it, and then once it turns about 2 years old, realistically, it opens up the door for more. There are companies out here that literally sell what we call shell or age corporations. So you're kind of paying the shortcut to you're paying for the age essentially, right? Because there's no EIN reported on it or anything like that. So that's why having a seasoned business is a lot more is a lot better than having a brand new startup company. Both of them can get funding, but once you're hitting a certain benchmark, you can get a lot more. So,
but for right now, I know that we're going to take my existing business and milk it for everything that we can on a business credit side. But I am one of those people, even though I'm a chicken little, I'm like a guinea pig chicken little. I like to try things. So I want to try my my new LLC, one of the LLC that I set up just in April. So it has been extremely smooth process up to now. All I'm getting is confirmed, approved, confirmed, approved. Great. Once I get into my new LLC that's less than 4 months old, what should I expect at that point?
oh, great question. So with the new LLC, are there banks that we may have not done with the existing LLC that we can hit? Absolutely. The only thing different may be the approval amounts, right? They might be a little less because it is a newer business. Are there denials even possible? Yeah, they are, right? Ideally, we want approvals, right? Because it can help
Mhm.
your business, but are denials possible? Yes, because we're at the mercy of the bank and underwriting. But traditionally, for a brand new business just set up yesterday,
Mhm.
if you have a 720 or higher credit score, and there's a lot of other factors that play into that too that we won't even talk about on this video, but just to let you know, if you're watching this video and you have a 720 FICO score, not Credit Karma, not Smart Credit, not Credit Sesame, like FICO score, and you have a overall decent profile or a mixture of profiles, so mortgage, auto loan, decent amount of personal credit cards, all of that plays a part, right? I've seen people with an 800 credit score get denied, and somebody comes in with a 750 with a thicker profile and can get whatever they want, right? So it's not your credit score that matters, it's your credit profile.
Mhm.
But with those factors being said, if you have a brand new business and you have a very thick personal credit profile, you can easily, and when I say easily, I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of me being the business owner. I can get you 50 to 150K on the business side on that brand new
Even on a brand new LLC,
on a
correct?
brand new, yep, specifically on a brand new entity. So because you have an older business and your business is, 5, 6, I think it's 10 plus years old, yeah,
12
you
years.
open the doors for, lines of credit, loans, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
But brand new business, yes, you can get about 150K, no problem.
Mhm. Question to you. Imagine that I have people who really want to get into this lending business, but their credit is below in 660, right?
Mhm.
Can you do anything for them to build up their personal credit first, or do they need to go solve it with another company somewhere?
Yeah, so I always, if you're at a 660, and depending on your age, right? If you're
Mhm.
brand new 18 and you're just building up your credit, you might be at a 660 because you have a very thin and a brand new profile. But
Mhm.
if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you're at a 660, because I owned a credit repair company, in my mind, I already know that you need some form of credit repair
Mhm.
unless it's high utilization. So
Mhm.
if you have a 660 and you have all of your personal credit cards maxed out, then yeah, it will probably be some type of loan to pay off, like personal loan to pay off all your debt, then your score will shoot back up. Other than that, it's going to be a collection, a charge off, a late payment somewhere, maybe a bankruptcy that's on the credit report. I know that there's some type of credit restoration that's needed. We don't do credit restoration. We do have partners that we can send members to. But it's going to be a matter of going to that third party person to get your credit fixed, get all the negatives and the dings removed, and then come back to us so we can get you access to funding. Because when those negatives are gone, your score is going to go back up.
Last but not least, removing credit inquiries. One of the reasons that I froze is because of the one small post on a Gator community that said, "Help, I ruined my credit by applying for business credit."
Oh my gosh.
And they said apparently she had like 20 plus credit applications, credit inquiries in a short amount of time. And now she said, I cannot get approved for anything, not even for $5,000.
Yep.
This is where I stopped. I said, if I'm not careful, I will be that girl
Yep.
in a
Yep.
few months. So tell me about this is why when you told me that you're going to strategically do the applications for me and figure out the formula of success for me, I jumped on this opportunity. But even then, I had reservation. What will happen if more, let's just say, apply with 10 people and I have 10 credit inquiries? So tell me what happens in that case.
Yeah. So this is good. This is actually a good question because when you know about inquiries and how impactful they are to your credit profile, then
Mhm.
you play the game that the banks play. And what I mean by
Mhm.
that is the average person, they thinking, hey, I got a hard inquiry on my credit. So unbeknownst to a lot of people, when you get a hard inquiry, a lot of times it's not on each and every bureau. So it
Mhm.
might only be just TransUnion, it might be Experian, it might be Equifax, it might be TransUnion, Experian, and now Equifax. And so every bank pulls different bureaus depending on the bank and also depending on the state, right? So, for example, in the state of Texas, for Chase, they might pull Experian and TransUnion, but if I go to New York, they're only pulling Experian, right? So these are little intricacies that most people don't know about. So when you accumulate a lot of inquiries, yes, you
Mhm.
eventually start to get denials. And guess
Mhm.
what? Most people don't know how to remove inquiries. I learned how
Mhm.
to remove inquiries because I owned a credit repair company and I
Mhm.
used to literally offer a service with just inquiry removal alone for
Mhm.
folks that had excellent credit. They were real estate investors and they wanted to do their own thing, but they didn't know how to remove inquiries. And we used to charge up to $50 per inquiry per bureau, right? So if that young lady
Mhm.
came to me and she said, hey, I got 20 inquiries total, I need them all removed so I can go apply for more stuff. I would say, hey, yeah, it's 20 times 50. That's $1,000, right? So we would take care of those
Which
inquiries.
is nothing compared to the amount of credit that you can
Right.
receive.
I'll say this: the people with the good credit, they never complain about the price because they're like, "Listen, just get the inquiries off. I just get this funding. Great." It's always the people that may not have such, such good credit. They may have like a 600 and say you're charging $1,000 for just inquiries. And I'm like, you don't understand because you're not there yet, right? So yeah, so when it comes to inquiries, every bank is going to pull. There are some banks that do a soft pull, meaning that they'll be able to check your profile without putting a ding on your credit, right? And we do have some of those as well. But inquiries play a huge part, a part of the process, especially for someone who's coming in brand new that wants to get funding. And you can have an 800 credit score, but if you have too many inquiries on one bureau, then we're going to say, hey, Elena, we need to remove these 5 inquiries off of TransUnion first before we start. Or, hey, we need to remove these, 6 off of Equifax before we start, right? So just understanding how to optimize your personal credit before you go for funding is really key.
So I think I'm going to go dig through the Gator community now, go find the original post that stopped me dead because I was hot and ready. I was so ready to start applying. And then you know how the fate sometimes interferes. Just when I was ready to go put my shoes on to go to the bank, I saw that post and that stopped me and things froze. And then, so I think now I'm going to, once we record this video, I'm going to dig out this girl's post and say, hey, watch this and talk to Stephen and see if he can help you, because I believe that I've been very blessed to meet you. I've been very blessed to meet Damien.
Likewise.
He's not here today, but he's my thoughts. But if not for you, I would still be exactly where I was 2 years ago. It's called fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD. So the biggest value that you guys provide, so somebody asked me, why should you pay for Stephen to do it for you? I'm like, because to me, the cost of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt is much higher
I like that. I
than
like that. Okay.
anything. Because you see, money I can replenish, and money are finite.
Yep.
They're finite. But fear, uncertainty, and doubt tend to develop into a gigantic monster that starts to chip away at your future that you might have had.
And I'm gonna actually say something about what you mentioned about, watching videos on YouTube. I don't pride myself on this because I need to make myself and my team like more active on the space with the real information. However, I'm not one of those guys that's making videos and reels all day long just to give you guys some information so you can come buy my services, right? So I know we provide a service. We pride ourselves on delivering exceptional value to our clients, making sure that we deliver on our promise that we say that we can do. So you won't find me like, I do have a YouTube channel. It's like 200 subscribers, but I'm so ingrained into the business now where I'm developing the business to where I want it to be. And then I'll post on YouTube and stuff like that. But what I'll do to answer your question is I'll provide a link. Anyone who's watching below, you can schedule a call. If you just have questions and you just like, hey, I want to know what your service provide, whether you're ready to go or not, we can, we'll hop on a call. And the biggest thing that when someone is ready to have a conversation with us, we don't do a call without reviewing your credit report. So whether you say yes or no, we at least want you to walk away educated to say, I don't want to go with those guys. However, I did learn blah, 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 right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or it's, I don't want to go with those guys yet because I don't have the upfront investment, which is very small, by the way. But eventually they do come back. So as far as getting on the call, and I'm the owner, so most of the time you might even get me on the call doing a call with some of the folks anyway. So Elena, I do want to say thank you, and I sincerely appreciate you. And even doing this impromptu video, I was like, when you want to talk to me, I'm like, yeah, I'm hopping on, even though I'm going out of the country, literally leaving tomorrow to make sure I made this video today. So, okay.
So
cool.
guys, that was Stephen. He is my guy for credit, anything credit related building. I have been given, since I posted your post, I have been given multiple people. They said, no, contact those people, they're best. I'm like, I have found the true teacher. You see, there are many false prophets. There are many false teachers that led me astray for many months. And I finally found the true teacher. So he produces true results. Thank you so much.
By the way, I'm gonna leave one more thing. So if anyone's watching right now, when me and Elena first initially talked, before we even hopped on the phone, because of her background in IT, she was apprehensive about reviewing her credit report. So if you're one of those folks like, hey, I don't want to send over my credit report, I don't want to share my screen, just know, I think Elena was probably like the most like, hey, I don't know you guys from a can of paint and you're asking for my credit report. So we understand that that stuff happens. Like, hey, I don't know you. I don't want to share my credit report, but just know that the only way that we'll be able to tell you what you qualify for is literally pulling up that credit report. We share it on our screen. We walk through it from very top, and you can ask Elena from top to bottom.
Each line,
every account.
each line, each line, and this is the first time somebody done something like that with me. I was actually surprised to see some of those accounts. On that report. So anyhow, big shout out to Stephen and his team. I'm pretty sure that this is not the last time you are on my YouTube channel, and we will take it from there next time. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.